Hey guys, it's Kyra and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, as you guys can tell by the title of the video, we will be doing a Q&A. I thought it'd be fun because I have actually been on YouTube now on my solo channel for a year. I actually think that my year anniversary was last month, but you know, better late than never, right? And so I figured to celebrate my 1 year on YouTube, I'm gonna go ahead and just do like a Q&A video for you guys. I know that my husband and I have done a Q&A before on our vlog channel, you know, about like marriage, family, stuff like that. But I thought that this would be a good way for you guys to ask me questions, personal questions, just about me, and you know, have me answer whatever you guys want to know. So I did get quite a bit of questions, and I don't want this video to be super long, so I may not get to everyone, and if I don't get to yours, I'm so sorry. It's more so for like time purposes. But I try to do my best to answer as many as I can. And then for those of you guys, the first person who asked me a question, that asked me multiple questions, I'll do maximum of 2 questions, but I'm not doing more than 2 questions. So Kenny B, girl, I appreciate your questions, but you got 3 in here and we got to get through everybody else's, so I'm going to go ahead and just answer your first 2. So the first question I got, again, is from Kenny B, and the first question was, what or who inspires and inspired you when it comes to makeup / becoming an MUA? I don't know if anyone actually inspired me to become a makeup artist. I can say for myself, I feel like becoming a makeup artist or starting to freelance was kind of like the natural next step, because I was getting so many questions on if I do makeup for others because of my YouTube channel. So as far as becoming a makeup artist, I honestly can say that no one really inspired me, but I can say that some of my favorite makeup artists would probably be like Makeup by Mario, who's Kim Kardashian's makeup artist. And not because he does Kim Kardashian's makeup, like that's not why I love him. It's because of his style of work and also his story. You have Sir John, who's Beyonce's makeup artist, who, and if y'all know me, then you guys know that I love Beyonce, and I love Beyonce's makeup. I always love her makeup because she's always so natural looking and her makeup just looks so effortless. And I think that Sir John does a phenomenal job. Honestly, it's people like that that have unique stories that I can actually watch grow. They inspire me to, I guess, not only be a makeup artist, but more so to do my best, if that makes sense, and to shoot for more. Okay, and then my next question from her is, this time next year, what do you hope to have accomplished with your beauty channel? That is a really good question. Girl, you got the good question. I honestly don't know. I mean, for me personally, YouTube is just a hobby. I have never, and I still claim to this day, my end goal is not to be a big YouTuber, like whatsoever. So for me, I actually want to focus more so on growing my YouTube channel and growing my following so I can go ahead and dive into other endeavors. Next year, I'd say I definitely want to reach 100K. That's like my 2019 goal, like my next year goal. I would love to reach 100K. I also want to have, I don't want to say I want to have a brand collaboration. That's probably, you know, the market is so saturated, so I think that those are definitely not as, they're definitely a lot harder to come by, if that makes sense. But I would love to maybe have a campaign. That's a good one. I would love to have a campaign with an ad. Like not necessarily like a collaboration where like I have my own product with the brand, but I would love to have a campaign where I'm like shooting a video or a commercial or on product packaging, you know, something like that for a brand. I think would be really awesome. And honestly, a year from now, I just want to just be still loving doing YouTube. Okay, so my next question is from Brianna Thomas, and she also had 2 questions. The first question is, being that your sister is also a YouTuber, do y'all ever find yourselves comparing and or competing with each other's success? The answer is absolutely not. We don't actually. Not even once. I root for my sister. First of all, I root for everybody. Like I'm always like rooting for the next person, especially the next black girl. However, when it comes to my sister, like her success is my success, if that makes sense. So whenever she, you know, reaches her numbers, and whenever she like, you know, has a video that goes viral and, you know, has like 100,000 views, like I get excited for her. And her and I often talk about like our own accomplishments and how like our video did this, or, you know, how we reached this goal, and we're both super proud of each other. So it's not like I'm ever competing or comparing myself, because, you know, I'm happy for whatever she does and whatever she achieves. So the answer is no. And also, I will say that her and I both have different lanes, and I do think that that helps also because her and I have different focuses. We also have different, I'd say, not really different audiences, but we target different types of, you know, viewers. So we definitely don't compete and or compare. It's just, you know, one big happy family around here. Second question is, do you see yourself having kids in the near future? The answer is depending on your definition of near. I do not. Now, I will note that I do have, if you guys don't know, I do have a 10-year-old stepdaughter. And I always say that if I could pop out a kid and it be her age, I would have a kid tomorrow, because she's, you know, she's like her own little person. Like, she's a fully functioning individual. I am not in any sense, or I am not rushing whatsoever to have a child myself. I just don't. I'm actually in that weird phase now where I honestly don't know 100% if I do want kids. I'm pretty sure that I do, but there are some days where I'm like I'd be okay if I don't have them. And then there are other days where I'm like, no, I don't want them at all, if that makes sense. So kind of like teeter-totter, you know, the fence. But to answer your question, not in the near future. To me, near future is like the next like year or two. The answer is no. The next question is from Genoa Grace. She said, first of all, I feel like I should have went to OU because you and Alicia both found amazing black men who are doing great things. Thank you, girl. I appreciate that. She has two questions. First question is, what has it been like being married at a younger age and with the person you have been with in college? So for those of you guys who don't know, I got married. I've been married for a little bit over 4 years. I actually got married right out of college. I literally graduated college and got married 2 weeks later. Granted, it was my college sweetheart and we had been engaged for 2 years. And so we had actually planned to get married right after I graduated. So it worked out perfectly. But honestly, I always say, for me personally, getting married at the age that I did, got married at the age of 23. And getting married at 23 is probably the best decision I made for myself. Not because of the age, not at all because of the age. It was more so because I feel very fortunate that I found my husband in college. Not common, like that doesn't happen very often. But I personally am very fortunate. I feel blessed that I did. My husband and I were together for 2.5 years before we got engaged, and then again engaged for another 2 years. So we were together for a total of 4.5 years before we got married. And so I knew he was the one. Like, I knew he was the one. I was ready to get married. And I know some people think that getting married young, like, that's not fun, you know, you shouldn't do it because you haven't lived your whole life, blah, blah, blah. Okay, if you lived the college experience that I did, you know that you got it all out your system. Also, I kind of evolved, you know, so the stuff that I love to do, I can do with my husband or with my friends. And I just love the fact that him and I got to basically grow up together. I mean, I've been with him since I was technically 18. So I love that I got the chance to really grow up with him, like grow from a teenager to a full-fledged adult, and him and I got to really figure out life together and figure out how to handle finances and how to look for apartments and how to decorate, and basically we literally built our life together, and I personally love it. My advice is, if you are younger and you found the one, you know, you guys know that you guys are right for each other and you guys want to marry each other, don't hold out and don't wait for the sake of saying that I didn't get married young. Like, if you found the one, why would you go ahead and waste time? You might as well go on and enjoy your life with the one that you love, because you guys will have the best memories, the best experiences, and just grow together. Okay, her second question is, as a black woman in corporate America, how do you show your worth and confidence even though you work from home? Okay, so if you guys don't know, I do work from home. I do work in corporate America. This is not my full-time job. I work in tech, and that's a good question. To answer your question, I'm actually the youngest person on my team, and I'm the only black person on my team. But I'm very vocal. Like, well, first of all, my team is the age range is very, very unique. Like, it's from me, which I'm 27, all the way up. So I think we have a couple 50-year-olds, maybe some 60-year-olds in our team. So our team is very diverse in age. But always made it a point to show my personality. And my team, they call me a cheerful one because I'm always very happy. I'm always very positive. I have a call that I host every week with our entire team, and I'm always like trying to set the mood so like everyone knows that we can have fun at work. We can talk and laugh about stuff outside of our jobs. And I think that me being authentic has helped my team to realize who I am and realize my value. And also, I regularly volunteer for new opportunities. I definitely will say no if it's something that I think is beyond my bandwidth or that I think is just not a lot of my job responsibilities. But I also am not afraid to say yes and to tackle new opportunities that that I have to deal with. So that's kind of how I show my worth in my job, but just being who I am, not being afraid to voice my opinion, and just taking on new opportunities. That's really all it is. Okay, the next question is from Tanoya Buckley, and she said, first, congratulations on 1 year anniversary on YouTube. Thank you. My question is, how do you guys handle disagreement? She's talking about my husband and I. How do my husband and I handle disagreement? That is a really good question, and honestly it depends on the situation. Him and I are really big on communicating. We actually did a whole vlog on it, so Tanoya, if you follow our vlog channel, go back a couple videos and we did a whole talk on how we handle conflict. But him and I are very, very, very open and honest, even when it's hard to be honest. So him and I are not afraid, like I'm not afraid to tell him whenever I don't like something, or whenever he does something to hurt my feelings, or whenever things, I'm not liking the way things are going. I have no problem telling him that, because why would you want to sit around and be unhappy and be miserable for the sake of just not starting an argument or not making him feel uncomfortable? Like, that's dumb. You should just be honest. We're both really open and honest with each other. And we've actually never always been that way. I actually had a really hard time whenever we were first dating with being open to him and telling him my emotions and telling him how I was feeling. I actually had to work on that over time, but I got to a point now to where I have no problem expressing myself, and it's so important because once you express yourself, the other person knows what they need to work on, you know what I'm saying? And so that's how we handle conflict. I won't say that we never go to bed mad or angry, because sometimes we do. I've said it in our vlog that sometimes, y'all, it's just not worth, if it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, it's just not worth the argument, especially if you find yourself going in circles. Like, there are times where we'll argue or disagree, more so an argument, and we'll be arguing and like find ourselves arguing about the same thing like over and over and over again, and it's just like, let's just go to bed, let's just sleep on it, and then come back in the morning and talk about it. And typically whenever we do that in the morning, we're like completely over it and we're completely fine, and we'll just say like, okay, like, let's talk about it real quick and then we'll move on. Express it, work on it, and move on. Okay, so the next question is from Taisha Monique on Instagram, and her question is, what do you do to stay motivated while doing different things: work, YouTube, entrepreneurship, Kyra time, hubby time, and family friends? I find myself getting overwhelmed sometimes and something doesn't get the attention it needs. So I just did a video last week about how I stay motivated whenever I'm unmotivated. So I won't talk too much on that, but I can tell you though that whenever it comes to balancing everything, the key is time management. And it sounds so cliche and it sounds so common sense, but y'all, it is so important. I literally plan out every day. Literally, I'll say, okay, I want to film a video on this day, I want to edit after work, I want to go run and do this errand during my lunch break, and I do all of that so that way whenever my husband comes home from school, I can have time for him. Y'all don't understand, my downtime keeps me sane. I don't know how people go 24/7 non-stop on work. I'm like, I need me time, I need my husband time, I need family time. And so for me, it's like I try to plan out my days and my schedule and even my weekends to where I get my work done. That's super important. I love to work, so I love to get my work done, but I have to know when to cut it off and refresh and recuperate. The next question is from I Produced Change, and her question is, what are some of your best undergrad moments? That's a good question. Okay, so of course, I met my husband, or back then I met Dion, this little cute chocolate man over there in the corner. I won't go into the story, but basically it was one party. He was there with his fraternity brothers. I was there with my girls. He like was shimmying because he's Kappa. Some of his fraternity brothers were there strolling or whatever. He looked at me, gave me a double take, pulled me to the side, got my number, and basically from there it's been magic ever since, I guess you could call it. So that's a special night or a special day. When I pledged Delta, that was also a special day. And honestly, like, I just loved being a part of Greek life. I loved my entire undergrad experience, and especially, you know, having my husband, boyfriend, then fiance, plus my line sisters, and experiencing Delta. And I would say the reason why that's so important to me, my sorority experience, is because that 100% shaped me into the woman that I am today. Delta, especially my chapter, Kappa Alpha, is very business minded. I learned a lot about planning, finances, reporting, all that kind of stuff through my sorority days or through my undergrad days. And so that is a huge memory for me because I still use a lot of what I learned then today. I have a lot of like random stories, some embarrassing, some like with my girlfriends. Like we went to the Beyonce concert together. My sisters and I used to have like sisterhoods and potlucks and stuff like that all the time. I met some of my best friends there in college. My bachelorette party was technically during college. So a lot of that stuff, my first jobs, technically my internships, were in college. So a lot of small stuff, I could go like on and on, but basically like the stuff that kind of helped shape me who I am today is really my most memorable moments. Okay, so now I got a bunch of questions from Tamia Nicole. She has 4 questions in here, so I won't answer them all. The first question though is, what advice would you give for college girls looking to date? I guess my story and like the way I dated in college was a little bit different because social media was not as big as it is today. We had Facebook, but you know, Facebook isn't Instagram, if that makes sense. So it wasn't as influential back then. So I would say one of my advices would be leave social media out of your relationship. Okay, especially today. I don't know how many times I have seen people vent on social media about their relationships, about how so-and-so did so-and-so wrong, about how my man cheated on me, blah, blah, blah. You know, whenever they break up, it's a public announcement. Whenever they get together, it's an announcement. Like, you know, like you've seen them go through 3, 4, or 5 boyfriends in the span of a year. It's just keep it out of your relationship. Also, be upfront and clear. That may sound very cliche, but be upfront and very clear about the intentions and like what you guys are doing upfront. For me, whenever I was dating, like, okay, I wasn't dating to be married, if that makes sense, but I was also never the one to date for fun, if that made sense. So it's like, if I didn't see a future with you, there's no point in me dating you. Like, there's no point in me wasting my time on someone that I knew would not last. And also, whenever my husband and I first got together, whenever we were dating, we were also kind of like dating other people for the first like month or 2, just to make sure that this is like who I want to be with. For me, I would also recommend not jumping into something, just kind of testing the water, just to make sure that this is who you really want to be with. And that's what we did. Not personally recommend it because it just made a lot more sense. So whenever him and I did officially get together, it was solid because he had knew for a fact that I was the one for him. I had knew that he was one for me, and that this is someone we could see ourselves within the future, if that makes sense. Okay, and then my second question from her is, what's the best thing about having a twin? My sisters and I have 2 sisters, my twin sister and I have a younger sister who's only 2.5 years younger than us, and all 3 of us are really close. My twin sister in particular, I just love having a built-in best friend there. Someone that her and I can always talk about whatever, we can always laugh about whatever. Her and I share very similar thoughts, very similar ideas. We think about things the same way. So it's fun having someone there that, you know, is thinking what you're thinking, and just honestly experiencing stuff with her. Like whenever she had my niece, I feel like I was having a kid, because that's like how connected we are. And even now, like I feel like my niece is like low-key my child. I love her just that much. And I think it's because not only is she like my niece, but she also technically has my DNA in her. So that's just like super cool. So I think it's just having a built-in best friend, someone there who literally always has your best interest in mind, and someone who just always has your back. Okay, my next question is from Chelsea A Face 4. And her question is, I myself am thinking about starting a YouTube channel of natural hair and makeup. So what advice would you give to a beginner, and was fear of it not working out an issue for you? Okay, so I guess my number one piece of advice that I would give to beginning YouTubers would be consistency and quality. Okay, so if this was like 10 years ago, whenever YouTube was first kicking off, I think that quality wouldn't be as big, but because YouTube is so saturated, these days you have to put out quality content. I know when my sister and I first started our first YouTube channel, what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever we started it, we started on our MacBook. Like, we recorded on a MacBook, then we got this little cheap compact camera. It was like real cheap, y'all. But it worked for then, you know, and it wasn't that long. We kind of upgraded eventually, but today I definitely could not get away with that, only because YouTube is so saturated, and if you come out with piss poor quality in a market that's so saturated with quality content creators, you will have the hardest time thriving and growing. So definitely, I honestly say that even if you're just starting out, I would say, you know, do what you can, but definitely invest in like a quality camera, you know, a decent editing software. Well, if you have MacBook, just use iMovie, that's for free. But you know, have like a decent background. Also, consistency is also a key. You can't grow on YouTube, especially these days, with a video once a month. At minimum, do a video a week at minimum, you know? But just really be mindful of how often you're putting out content and the quality of it. That's the two, in my opinion, the two most important things. And also for me, honestly, fear of it not working out was never an option, or never really crossed my mind for me. Just because for me, like I said, I just love sharing information. I love sharing my passion for makeup and fashion with a broader audience. So for me, it was just like, as long as I'm doing something that I genuinely love to do, then, you know, I'm not afraid. Okay, my next question is from Astasia on Instagram. How did I know DST was a sorority for me? Any advice for someone expressing interest in sorority? I won't go too much into that because, you know, that kind of varies by chapter. I will note that my mother is also a Delta, so it's a bit of a legacy thing for me. I definitely wanted to, you know, be like her. So that was one piece of it. Also, as I mentioned, my particular chapter on my campus, Kappa Alpha, was, first of all, they ran the yard. Okay, they ran the yard, not even just in like social activities, but in business. Again, I've always been very involved. Like, even before I thought about pledging Delta on campus, I was like VP of a freshman organization. I was like secretary of another organization. I was like 3 different clubs. Like, I was always very, very involved. I was like that in high school, and then of course in college, and I just loved seeing a group of Black women who were just driven and who aspired to, you know, project change on campus, wanted to see things happen. They were always getting stuff done. They were always receiving tons of awards for their community involvement, things like that. And that just naturally aligned with like my own personal beliefs, my own personal mission, basically. So kind of this was just my personal interest. As far as advice for someone who wants to join a sorority, I would just say make sure that it's a good fit and that's something that you really, really want to do and commit to. Because if you guys don't know, MPHC organizations are a lifetime commitment. So it's a long-term commitment. So make sure that's something that you want to do and be involved in long-term. Also, I will admit that all chapters are different. Low-key, whether you want to admit it or not, all chapters are different. So make sure that's a good fit for you. For me, it worked out perfectly. It was a great fit for me. My line teachers, my profiles were all the women that I aspired to be and that I wanted to, you know, be associated with. So just be, you know, just be cognizant of the decision. It is a major decision, so just be sure about it. This question is from Queen D, and her question is, what's been your most humbling moment as far as your success? I don't know. I will say though that I always feel humbled whenever people tell me, and I hear this so often and I appreciate it so much, when people tell me that I am in person what they expected me to be, if that makes sense. So if I run into somebody in public, or if I meet someone in person, or I talk to someone via Instagram or via DMs or via Snapchat, and people tell me that like that I basically am off camera as I am on camera, that means so much to me, because that means that I'm portraying my true authentic self to you guys. And that honestly is so humbling, because I'm like, I never want to portray someone that I'm not, and I want to always be Kyra. And so whenever I'm out in public and people are saying, oh my gosh, like, you know, you're so cool, like you're so down to earth, or you're what I expected you to be, you know, in person, like that is so humbling to me, because I'm like, okay, I'm doing what I wanted to do, which is to show you guys who I really am. And I love it. I love hearing that. It just means a lot to me. The question is about my hair. She said, your hair is so bomb. Thank you, girl. I need the deets. Is it a sew-in or clips? The answer is it is a sew-in. This is all leave out. So the part is my natural hair, and then my edges, of course, are my natural hair. But I only have like this much of my natural hair out. So I have very little hair out. Whenever I do sew-ins, I leave as little hair as possible, which is why it blends so well. And the hair that I am wearing is by D Hair Boutique. They sell hair online, but they are based in Dallas. And this hair in particular, I've actually had this hair for almost 3 years, you guys. Almost 3 years, and I keep re-wearing it because it's just that bomb. It's a Cambodian slight wave, and I have in 3 bundles. Okay, the next question is from Straight Brandy _ No Chaser. A very similar question. The question is, how do you get your wig, sew-ins, extensions to the lace so freaking flat, having natural hair like girl? Okay, Mohi, thank you, I appreciate that. First of all, I am no longer natural. If you guys don't know, you guys watched my short hair routine video. I'm no longer all natural. I technically am relaxed, even though I have a lot of new growth in now, but that I haven't relaxed yet. But I honestly am not afraid to straighten my hair. That's the key for me. Whenever it comes to blending in my natural hair, as I mentioned, I leave as little of my hair out as possible. And also, whenever I straighten my hair, I'm not afraid to straighten it. Some people and some naturals are so afraid of actually getting their hair bone straight that whenever they, you know, wear sew-ins and extensions, it looks crazy because the natural hair is so puffy and frizzy, and the hair is sleek. And I'm like, just get a closure, boo. Just leave it alone. I am not afraid of that. I will just straighten my hair, and I only straighten my hair once, and that is on a wash day. And also, whenever my hair is getting braided, they typically braid my hair in pretty small braids, so it lays really nice and flat. Ooh, girl. Okay, this question is from Pooh Baby 44, and she said, how would you handle if you found out your husband was cheating? I don't know, y'all. I always say I don't know. I think it's easier to say that you would react one way until you've actually been in the situation. So I can say all day, like, you know, I'd leave him, I do da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. But I think that things are so much different whenever you're married. Literally in the past almost 9 years we've been together, I have never had to deal with cheating. So I haven't experienced that whatsoever. But if it did happen, I don't know. Like, I guess it depends on like what happened. Was it just emotional? Was it physical? Like how many times? I can't answer that one. I can't answer it until I'm actually in it, you know? Okay, and then my last question for the Q&A is from Kwambi Princess. She says, hi Kyra, I love your videos, and I literally love your videos. And she says, hi Kyra, I love your videos, and I watch your videos over and over. So the first question is, how do you stay motivated to work from home with all the temptations of your comfort around you? That one is pretty much get your work done. I mean, you're getting paid to do a job. So for me in my corporate job, from 8 to 5 p.m. my number one priority is to get my work done. Like, it's always my priority because I'm getting paid. I'm on the clock to work, so I want to definitely get that done. So I definitely just get my work done first and then do my extra stuff, you know, afterwards. So during my lunch break or after work or before I clock in, you know, just get that stuff done during the times that I'm actually able to, and then work, you know, from 8 to 5. And then staying motivated during the day is just, for example, if I have like a strict deadline, I will keep my phone away from me, cut the TV off. I will literally sit at the table and just be focused and motivated, like, until I get it done. Okay, the second question is, how do you and Dion budget, seeing he's currently studying full-time and you're the sole breadwinner. Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know, my husband is in school and he's in school full-time, and of course I work full-time, so I typically am the sole breadwinner for our family. The way we budget is honestly just live within our means. I am fortunate enough to have a really good paying job. We both pitch in towards our bills and our finances, but I've always wanted him to never feel burdened with money because of his situation. So I am fortunate enough to have a job that can provide, you know, my percentage of the bills and the income, or the bills and the finances, and also save a good chunk as well. And that's also, you know, how YouTube helps, and having multiple sources of income also helps balance it all out. So if you are in a situation like that, or are interested in pursuing a situation like that, always be prepared. Find ways to add in more income if you need to, and just be supportive until it's all over, because it's all temporary. And that's just the key, is to remember that it's all temporary. So, you know, like my husband knows, I always joke and say that for now, I don't mind covering it, but once he's, you know, a doctor and he's making the good, you know, the good coins, I'm gonna take a break and just like chillax. I'm kidding, no, I probably won't, but like, you know, I'm 100% supportive of him, and so whatever he wants to do, I will do to help out and make sure that he's accomplishing and achieving his goals, and you know, me as well. So it's all about teamwork. So you guys, that is it for my very chatty and very lengthy Q&A video, and I appreciate all of you guys' input and questions, and hopefully this gave you guys a chance to see who I am a little bit more on the personal side of who Kyra is. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and close off the video and catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys.